Do you have these top 20 most ultra-rare and valuable Washington quarter dollars worth thousands that are highly coveted by coin collectors? The Washington quarter dollars is both extremely rare and highly sought after. The 1965 Washington quarter is an interesting and significant coin in American numismatics, primarily because it marks a critical transition in the composition of U.S. coinage. This quarter, part of the broader Washington quarter series that began in 1932, represents the first year in which quarters were made from a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of the traditional 90% silver. This change was a direct response to economic pressures and changing market conditions in the 1960s. Below is a detailed exploration of the 1965 Washington quarter, covering its history, significance, and value in the numismatic market. The Coinage Act of 1965 was enacted in response to these issues. This legislation removed silver from the quarter and dime entirely and reduced the silver content in the half dollar from 90% to 40%. The 1965 Washington quarter was the first to be struck in the new copper-nickel-clad composition. The transition from silver to clad coinage in 1965 was a watershed moment in U.S. monetary history. The decision to remove silver from circulating coins was not taken lightly, as it represented a significant break from tradition. For centuries, silver had been a primary metal used in coinage, symbolizing wealth and stability. However, the economic realities of the 1960s, including the rising price of silver and the increasing demand for coins, necessitated a change. The Coinage Act of 1965 not only altered the composition of quarters but also banned the minting of silver dollars for 5 years and removed mint marks from all coins between 1965 and 1967 to discourage hoarding by collectors. The public initially resisted the new clad coins, as they lacked the intrinsic value of their silver predecessors. However, over time, the clad coins became accepted as people grew accustomed to the new composition. Collectability and variance. While the 1965 Washington quarter is not rare, it holds a special place in the history of U.S. coinage due to its role in the transition from silver to clad coinage. Because of its historical significance, it is a must-have for collectors of modern U.S. coins, particularly those interested in the evolution of American coinage. One notable variant to mention is the possibility of finding a 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchet, though such examples are exceedingly rare. These errors occurred when a leftover silver planchet from 1964 was mistakenly used in 1965. If authenticated, these error coins can be highly valuable, often fetching thousands of dollars at auction. Current value and collectability. The value of a 1969 Washington quarter can vary significantly depending on its condition, mint mark, and any errors or varieties it may possess. Here's a breakdown of the current value of 1969 quarters based on different factors. Circulated coins. Quarters from 1969 that have been in circulation typically hold a value close to their face value, which is 25 cents. Due to the high mintage numbers and the absence of precious metal content, these coins are relatively common and do not hold significant value in the numismatic market. However, coins in extremely fine, EF, or about uncirculated, AU, condition can be worth slightly more, usually around $2 to $10. Uncirculated coins, uncirculated 1969 quarters, which have never been used in circulation and retain their original luster, can be more valuable. Coins graded mint state, MS, by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can fetch higher prices. For example, a 1969 D quarter in MS 65 condition, a high grade on the 70-point scale used by grading services, can be worth between $50 to $100. Coins in even higher grades, such as MS 67, can reach values of $500 or more, especially if they exhibit particularly strong strikes and minimal contact marks. Error coins. As mentioned earlier, error coins like the double die obverse, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets can be valuable to collectors. The value of these error coins depends on the rarity and visibility of the error. For example, a 1969 double die obverse quarter can be worth several $1,000s or more, depending on the clarity and extent of the doubling. The 1967 Washington quarter is part of the long-running series of Washington quarters that began in 1932. The Washington quarter was originally introduced to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It quickly became a permanent part of American coinage, replacing the standing Liberty quarter. Over time, the Washington quarter has undergone several changes in its design, composition, and production, reflecting broader trends and changes within the U.S. Mint and American society. The Washington quarter was originally made from 90% silver and 10% copper. However, due to rising silver prices and a nationwide coin shortage in the early 1960s, the U.S. Mint made significant changes to the coin's composition. The Coinage Act of 1965 mandated the elimination of silver from dimes and quarters, leading to the introduction of a new copper-nickel-clad composition for these coins. Production of the 1967 Washington quarter. The 1967 Washington quarter was struck during a period of high demand for circulating coinage. The U.S. Mint produced an enormous number of these coins to meet the needs of the economy, as the nation was still recovering from the coin shortage of the early 1960s. In 1967 alone, over 1.5 billion Washington quarters were minted, making it one of the most common dates for the series. Because of the large production numbers and the lack of a mint mark, 1967 Washington quarters are widely available today and are generally not considered rare or valuable in most conditions. However, the sheer number of coins produced also meant that the quality of the strikes could vary, with some coins exhibiting weak details or poorly defined features. Varieties and errors. While the 1967 Washington quarter is not known for having any particularly notable varieties, there are still a few errors and anomalies that can be found among the coins from this year. Some of these include, double die obverse. Although not as prominent as in some other years, a double die obverse, DDO, error can sometimes be found on 1967 quarters. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coins is misaligned, resulting in a doubling of some of the design elements on the obverse. Coins with this error can be more valuable to collectors. Clipped planchets. A clipped planchet occurs when the metal planchet, that is used to strike the coin is not properly cut, resulting in a coin with a curved or straight section missing. Clipped planchets can vary in size and shape, and while they are relatively common as errors go, they are still of interest to error coin collectors. Off-center strikes. An off-center strike occurs when the planchet is not properly aligned with the dies during the striking process, resulting in a coin that is not centered correctly. The degree of the off-center strike can vary, and coins that are significantly off-center can be quite valuable. Die cracks and cuts. Die cracks occur when the die used to strike the coins develops a crack, resulting in raised lines or cracks on the surface of the coin. A cud is a more severe form of die crack where a portion of the die breaks away, leaving a raised, blob-like area on the coin. These types of errors can add interest and value to a coin. Value of the 1967 Washington quarter. The value of a 1967 Washington quarter depends on several factors, including its condition, any errors or varieties it may have, and the overall demand for the coin among collectors. In general, 1967 quarters are very common and can often be found in circulation even today, so their value in circulated condition is usually just face value, 25 cents. Mint State 63, MS-63. A 1967 Washington quarter in MS-63 condition might be valued at around $30 to $50. These coins will have a good strike, full details, and minimal marks or abrasions. Mint State 65, MS-65. A 1967 quarter in MS-65 condition could be worth around $100 to $500. These coins are well struck with strong luster and only minor imperfections. Mint State 67, MS-67, in very high grades, such as MS-67, the value of a 1967 Washington quarter can increase significantly, potentially reaching $1,000 or more. Coins in this condition are nearly flawless, with sharp details and brilliant luster. Coins with recognized errors or varieties, such as the double die obverse, can be worth more, depending on the rarity and demand for that specific error. For example, a 1967 Washington quarter with a well-defined double die obverse could be valued at $1,500 or more, depending on the severity of the doubling and the overall condition of the coin. The 1965 Washington quarter is an interesting and significant coin in American numismatics, primarily because it marks a critical transition in the composition of U.S. coinage. This quarter, part of the broader Washington quarter series that began in 1932, represents the first year in which quarters were made from a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of the traditional 90% silver. This change was a direct response to economic pressures and changing market conditions in the 1960s. Below is a detailed exploration of the 1965 Washington quarter, covering its history, significance, and value in the numismatic market. The Coinage Act of 1965 was enacted in response to these issues. This legislation removed silver from the quarter and dime entirely and reduced the silver content in the half dollar from 90% to 40%. The 1965 Washington quarter was the first to be struck in the new copper-nickel clad composition. The transition from silver to clad coinage in 1965 was a watershed moment in U.S. monetary history. The decision to remove silver from circulating coins was not taken lightly, as it represented a significant break from tradition. For centuries, silver had been a primary metal used in coinage, symbolizing wealth and stability. However, the economic realities of the 1960s, including the rising price of silver and the increasing demand for coins, necessitated a change. The Coinage Act of 1965 not only altered the composition of quarters but also banned the minting of silver dollars for 5 years and removed mint marks from all coins between 1965 and 1967 to discourage hoarding by collectors. The public initially resisted the new clad coins, as they lacked the intrinsic value of their silver predecessors. However, over time, the clad coins became accepted as people grew accustomed to the new composition. Collectability and variance. While the 1965 Washington quarter is not rare, it holds a special place in the history of U.S. coinage due to its role in the transition from silver to clad coinage. Because of its historical significance, it is a must-have for collectors of modern U.S. coins, particularly those interested in the evolution of American coinage. One notable variant to mention is the possibility of finding a 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchet, though such examples are exceedingly rare. These errors occurred when a leftover silver planchet from 1964 was mistakenly used in 1965. If authenticated, these error coins can be highly valuable, often fetching thousands of dollars at auction. Current value and collectability. The value of a 1969 Washington quarter can vary significantly depending on its condition, mint mark, and any errors or varieties it may possess. Here's a breakdown of the current value of 1969 quarters based on different factors. Circulated coins. Quarters from 1969 that have been in circulation typically hold a value close to their face value, which is 25 cents. Due to the high mintage numbers and the absence of precious metal content, these coins are relatively common and do not hold significant value in the numismatic market. However, coins in extremely fine, EF, or about uncirculated, AU, condition can be worth slightly more, usually around $2 to $10. Uncirculated coins, uncirculated 1969 quarters, which have never been used in circulation and retain their original luster, can be more valuable. Coins graded mint state, MS, by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can fetch higher prices. For example, a 1969 D quarter in MS 65 condition, a high grade on the 70-point scale used by grading services, can be worth between $50 to $100. Coins in even higher grades, such as MS 67, can reach values of $500 or more, especially if they exhibit particularly strong strikes and minimal contact marks. Error coins. As mentioned earlier, error coins like the double die obverse, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets can be valuable to collectors. The value of these error coins depends on the rarity and visibility of the error. For example, a 1969 double die obverse quarter can be worth several $1,000s or more, depending on the clarity and extent of the doubling. The 1966 Washington quarter is an intriguing piece in American numismatics, especially when discussing specimens with center-of-strike issues. These issues, typically involving misaligned dies or off-center strikes, create unique and valuable variations of the coin. To fully appreciate the 1966 Washington quarter with a center-of-strike issue, it's important to delve into its historical context, minting process, error types, and the coin's value in today's market. The year 1966 is particularly notable in the history of the Washington quarter due to the ongoing transition in U.S. coinage. In 1965, the U.S. Mint stopped using silver in the production of dimes, quarters, and half dollars due to rising silver prices and a national coin shortage. As a result, quarters minted in 1965 and later were composed of a copper-nickel clad, making the 1966 quarter part of the first full year of non-silver quarters. The minting process and error types. The minting process is complex and involves several steps, each with the potential for errors that can lead to the creation of collectible coins. For the 1966 Washington quarter, the process would have included the following steps. Planchet preparation. A planchet is a blank metal disc that is eventually struck to become a coin. Planchets are cut from large sheets of metal and then prepared for striking. Striking. The prepared planchets are fed into a coin press where they are struck between two dies, the obverse die, for the coin's front, and the reverse die, for the coin's back. The dies imprint the design onto the planchet. Off-center strike. Similar to a misaligned die, an off-center strike occurs when the planchet itself is not properly centered between the dies. This can produce coins where the design is shifted towards the edge of the coin, leaving part of the planchet blank. Double strike. Sometimes, a coin is struck more than once either by mistake or because it was not properly ejected after the first strike. A double strike can create a shadow effect on the design, with parts of the image appearing to be duplicated. Rarity and collectability. Error coins, by their nature, are rarer than regular coins, as they are typically produced unintentionally and in small numbers. The rarity of a specific error, such as a center of strike issue on a 1966 Washington quarter, depends on several factors. Severity of the error. Minor errors might be overlooked or dismissed by collectors, while significant errors, such as those that dramatically alter the appearance of the coin, are more likely to be sought after. Condition of the coin. As with all collectible coins, the condition of an error coin greatly affects its value. A 1966 Washington quarter with a center of strike issue in uncirculated or near uncirculated condition will generally be worth more than one that has been heavily circulated. Market demand. The value of error coins can fluctuate based on collector interest. Certain types of errors may be more popular at certain times, which can drive up prices. The value of a 1966 Washington quarter with a center of strike issue can vary widely based on the type and severity of the error, as well as the condition of the coin. Some general guidelines for determining the value of such a coin include: common error values. Minor misalignments or weak strikes might only add a modest premium to the value of the coin, with prices ranging from $50 to $200 above the face value, depending on the condition. Significant errors. More dramatic errors, such as a severe off-center strike affecting the center of the coin, can fetch much higher prices. These coins might sell for anywhere from $100 to several $1,000s, particularly if they are in good condition and show a significant portion of the design missing or distorted. Market trends. As with all collectibles, market demand can influence prices. A rare error coin that attracts the interest of multiple collectors might sell for a higher price than expected, especially in a competitive auction setting. 1965 Washington quarter is an interesting and significant coin in American numismatics, primarily because it marks a critical transition in the composition of U.S. coinage. This quarter, part of the broader Washington quarter series that began in 1932, represents the first year in which quarters were made from a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of the traditional 90% silver. This change was a direct response to economic pressures and changing market conditions in the 1960s. Below is a detailed exploration of the 1965 Washington quarter, covering its history, significance, and value in the numismatic market. The Coinage Act of 1965 was enacted in response to these issues. This legislation removed silver from the quarter and dime entirely and reduced the silver content in the half dollar from 90% to 40%. The 1965 Washington quarter was the first to be struck in the new copper-nickel-clad composition. The transition from silver to clad coinage. The transition from silver to clad coinage in 1965 was a watershed moment in U.S. monetary history. The decision to remove silver from circulating coins was not taken lightly, as it represented a significant break from tradition. For centuries, silver had been a primary metal used in coinage, symbolizing wealth and stability. However, the economic realities of the 1960s, including the rising price of silver and the increasing demand for coins, necessitated a change. The Coinage Act of 1965 not only altered the composition of quarters but also banned the minting of silver dollars for 5 years and removed mint marks from all coins between 1965 and 1967 to discourage hoarding by collectors. The public initially resisted the new clad coins, as they lacked the intrinsic value of their silver predecessors. However, over time, the clad coins became accepted as people grew accustomed to the new composition. Market value. The value of a 1965 Washington quarter in the numismatic market depends on several factors, including its condition, grade, any potential errors, and its historical significance. Because the 1965 quarter was produced in large quantities, over 1.8 billion were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, it is generally common and not particularly valuable in circulated condition. Circulated condition. Most 1965 quarters found in circulation today are worth only their face value of 25 cents. Coins that show heavy wear or damage have little to no numismatic value beyond their use as legal tender. Uncirculated/mint state. An uncirculated 1965 quarter, one that has never been used in commerce and retains its original mint luster, is more valuable. Mint state coins are graded on a scale from MS60 to MS70, with higher grades indicating fewer imperfections. As of 2024, an MS65 1965 quarter might be valued around $10 to $50, while a coin graded MS67 could fetch $300 or more. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. Errors and varieties. As mentioned earlier, error coins, particularly those struck on silver planchets, are rare and highly sought after. A 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchet could be worth several $1,000s or more, depending on its condition and the weight of the silver content. Conclusion: the 1965 Washington quarter is a significant coin in American numismatics, symbolizing a critical shift in the nation's approach to coinage. While not rare, it is a coin that every serious collector should consider adding to their collection, if only for its historical importance. The change from silver to copper-nickel-clad coinage was a necessary response to economic pressures, and the 1965 quarter stands as a testament to that period of transition. Whether as a historical artifact or a collectible in mint condition, the 1979 Washington quarter without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Like most quarters from this period, it's made from a copper-nickel-clad composition and contains no silver content. Quarters from the 1970s are generally common, and the 1979 issue is no exception, with over 515 million produced at the Philadelphia Mint. In circulated condition. 1979 Washington Quarter Overview. Mint mark, none, indicating the Philadelphia Mint. Mintage, approximately 515 million, making it a common coin. Composition, copper-nickel clad. Error varieties and collectible features. While the 1979 Washington quarter isn't particularly known for rare or valuable errors, types of mint errors can occasionally be found. These error types may increase the value of a standard 1979 quarter, depending on the error's prominence. Die cracks and die chips, particularly near Washington's profile or the lettering, may be of interest to collectors. Off-center strikes, depending on the severity, off-center quarters may range in value from $100 to $500 or more. Clipped planchets. Larger clips or more distinctive shapes can increase the coin's desirability and value, potentially ranging from $100 to $750. Doubled die errors. Doubled die errors involve a die. While rare on 1979 quarters, noticeable doubled die can add significant value if it is strong and clear. Strike-through errors. It may enhance the coin's collectible value. Value of the 1979 no mint mark Washington quarter. Circulated condition. In mint state, MS. Condition, these quarters can be worth a little more. Coins graded around MS63 to MS64 may be valued between $10 and $20. Higher grade coins, such as MS65 and above, may be worth between $20 and $50 or slightly more, particularly if they exhibit strong details and few blemishes. Error coins, coins with notable errors, like off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or double dies, can be valued much higher. Prices for error coins typically range from $1,000 to $3,225, and larger, more dramatic errors may fetch even higher prices depending on their uniqueness and condition. Conclusion: in general, the 1979 no mint mark Washington quarter is common and holds minimal collectible value in circulated condition. However, uncirculated coins in high grades and coins with notable errors or unique features can have added value. The 1979 D Washington quarter minted at the Denver Mint is part of the standard series of copper-nickel-clad quarters that were issued by the U.S. Mint in the late 20th century. Like most quarters from this period, the coin has no silver content, and its value is generally close to face value unless it is in high grade or error condition. The 1979 D quarter, with a mintage of over 450 million, is fairly common in circulation. 1979 D Washington quarter overview. Mint mark, D, Denver Mint. Mintage, approximately 451 million, making it a common coin. Error varieties and collectible features. Though the 1979 D Washington quarter is not widely recognized for having major types of errors, there are still some collectible features that may make certain coins more valuable. Some error types and unique features to look for include die cracks and die chips. These features can still attract interest from collectors. Off-center strikes. Depending on the size of the off-center strike, it can be worth anywhere from $100 to $500, and sometimes more if the error is severe and the date is still visible. Clipped planchets, and how much of the design is affected can determine the value. Clipped planchets can range from $100 to $700, or more, based on the severity and desirability of the error. Double die errors. While not as common on this year's coins, a noticeable double die error would increase the coin's value, especially if the doubling is strong and clear. Strike-through errors, it can make the coin more desirable to collectors and could slightly increase its value. Value of the 1979 D Washington quarter, uncirculated/mint state, in mint state, MS, condition, the coin's value increases slightly. In grades of MS-63 to MS-64, a 1979 D quarter is typically worth around $10 to $30. Coins graded MS-65 or higher may fetch between $30 and $80 depending on the quality of the strike and preservation. Coins with especially sharp details or clean surfaces can be worth more, particularly if they are well preserved. Conclusion: most 1979 D Washington quarters are abundant and are typically worth only face value in circulated condition. However, those in higher grades or with minting errors could see increased value. For example, error coins like off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and double dies can be worth much more depending on their severity. The 1978 D Washington quarter minted at the Denver Mint is part of the standard copper-nickel clad series of quarters issued by the U.S. Mint during the late 20th century. It is relatively common due to its high mintage, and the coin itself holds no silver content. While most 1978 D Washington quarters are worth only face value in circulated condition, certain factors such as minting errors or high-quality uncirculated examples can increase their value. 1978 D Washington quarter overview. Mint mark, D, Denver Mint. Mintage, approximately 507 million, making it a common coin in circulation. Composition, copper-nickel clad. While the 1978 D quarter is generally abundant, certain errors or unique features can make specific examples more valuable to collectors. Here are some potential error types to look for: die cracks and die chips, though they usually don't increase its value significantly unless the crack or chip is especially prominent or large. Off-center strikes. Off-center strikes can be worth anywhere from $100 to $500 or more, especially if a large part of the design is missing and the date remains visible. Clipped planchets, with larger clips being more valuable. These can typically be worth between $190 and $700, and sometimes more, depending on the severity of the clip. Double die errors. While these errors are relatively rare, noticeable double die error can increase the coin's value. Coins with significant doubling in the lettering could be worth more than $1,000 to $5,000. Conclusion: while most 1978 D Washington quarters are relatively common and valued at face value in circulated condition, high-quality examples and error coins can make them more appealing to collectors. Coins with significant errors like off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or double dies can fetch higher prices, particularly in higher grades or well-preserved condition. The 1977 Washington quarter minted without a mint mark, meaning it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, is quite common, as the Mint issued over 130 million of them that year. Like other quarters from the era, it was struck in copper-nickel clad, with no silver content. While the 1977 Philadelphia Mint quarter is a rare, it can commonly be of interest to collectors, especially if in high quality or if it exhibits minting errors. 1977, no mint mark, Washington quarter overview. Mint mark, no mint mark, indicating it was minted in Philadelphia. Mintage, approximately 130.5 million, making it a common coin. Composition, copper-nickel clad, with no silver. Error varieties and collectible features. While the 1977 Philadelphia quarters are not particularly famous for specific errors, collectors may still find value in examples with minting anomalies or those in exceptional grades. Some potential error types to look out for include die cracks and die chips. Though these errors are typically not highly valuable, larger or more prominent die cracks could be of interest to collectors. Off-center strikes, with larger off-center errors potentially fetching between $100 and $500, depending on the severity and visibility of the error. Clipped planchets, these can range in value, with larger clips being more valuable and attracting higher prices. Double die errors. Though rare, a double die error can occur when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned. If the doubling is significant and noticeable, the coin could be worth more than a standard quarter. Value of 1977, no mint mark, Washington quarters. Uncirculated/mint state. In mint state, MS, condition, the value of the 1977 quarter increases. In grades of MS-63 to MS-64, they can be worth around $10 to $20. In higher mint state grades, MS-65 and above, a well-preserved 1977 quarter could be worth between $20 and $50, with especially well-graded examples potentially fetching slightly more. Error coins, errors like off-center strikes or clipped planchets can increase the value of the 1977 quarter. In general, these error coins could be worth anywhere from $500 to $2,250 or more, depending on the rarity and prominence of the error. Highly dramatic errors with visible parts of the design missing or unusual minting characteristics may attract higher bids. For any high-grade or error-bearing 1977 Philadelphia quarter, it's a good idea to get the coin graded by a professional service such as PCGS or NGC. The 1977 D Washington quarter, minted at the Denver Mint, is another example of a coin from the 1970s that is common in circulated condition. The 1977 quarter is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, meaning it has no silver content. While the quarter is relatively easy to find in most conditions, there are still certain factors that can make specific coins more collectible or valuable, particularly if they feature errors or are in high grades. 1977 D Washington quarter overview. Mint mark, D, Denver Mint. Mintage, approximately 421 million, making it a common issue. Composition, copper-nickel clad, no silver content. Error varieties and special features, though not famous for specific types of errors, certain minting anomalies may still be found on the 1977 D quarter. Collectors often look for the following error varieties: die cracks and die chips. While these errors don't generally increase the coin's value significantly, larger or more prominent die cracks may attract collectors. Off-center strikes, particularly if a significant portion of the design is missing. These errors are typically worth $100 to $500, and the value increases if the date is still partially visible. Clipped planchets. The value of clipped planchets can vary based on the size of the clip, with larger clips generally adding more value. Double die errors. While double die errors are more famous on coins like the 1955 Lincoln cent, they can still occur on other coins. These errors are generally rare but can command a premium if noticeable. Strike-through errors. This can sometimes create an unusual look for the coin, and depending on the severity, it could make the coin more valuable. Value of 1977 D Washington quarters. Significant numismatic value in everyday circulation. Uncirculated/mint state. In high grades, MS63 and above, a 1977 D quarter may be worth $5 to $15, depending on the quality of the coin. In gen-quality grades, MS65 or higher, these quarters can be worth $25 to $50 or more. Error coins like off-center strikes, major die cracks, or clipped planchets can increase in value, with error examples ranging anywhere from $700 to $5,500, and even higher for more dramatic or rare errors. If you believe you have an error coin or a high-grade 1977 D quarter, it's always a good idea to have it graded by a reputable grading service such as PCGS or NGC. Grading can authenticate the coin's value and make it more appealing to serious collectors. The 1974 Washington quarter, like other quarters from the 1970s, was minted in large numbers, making it relatively common in circulated condition. There are no particularly rare or famous errors associated with this year, but high-quality uncirculated examples, as well as certain mint errors, can still attract collector interest. 1974 Washington quarter overview. Mint locations and mint marks. Philadelphia, no mint mark, approximately 801 million minted. Denver, D mint mark, approximately 353 million minted. Composition, copper-nickel clad. Notable error varieties for the 1974 Washington quarter. Although 1974 quarters aren't typically known for major errors, various types of minting anomalies can appear, which can increase their value to collectors. Some of the notable error types include die cracks and die chips. While smaller cracks are common and don't add much value, larger die breaks or chips can attract attention. Double die errors. A true double die error, if prominent, would increase the coin's value. Off-center strikes. The value increases with the degree of misalignment, especially if the date is still visible. These errors are popular among collectors and can fetch $200 to $500 or more depending on the degree of off-centering. Clipped planchet. Clipped planchet errors vary in size and value, with larger clips typically worth more. Strike-through errors, with larger or more unusual examples being valued higher. Value of 1974 Washington quarters. Uncirculated/mint state. High-grade uncirculated examples can be worth $10 to $20 depending on quality. In MS65 or higher grades, they could be worth around $50 to $100. Error coins. The value of 1974 error quarters varies widely based on the type and severity of the error. Minor errors like small die cracks may only add a small premium, while significant off-center strikes, major die breaks, or dramatic strike-throughs could increase the value to $1,000 or more. For any high-grade or error-bearing 1974 quarter, professional grading can help verify its authenticity and potentially increase its resale value. GC. The 1974 D Washington quarter, minted in Denver, is common in circulated condition and holds no silver content, as it is composed of a copper-nickel clad. However, high-quality uncirculated examples, as well as certain mint errors, can make it more interesting to collectors. 1974 D Washington quarter overview. Mint mark, D, Denver. Mintage, approximately 353 million, making it a common issue. Composition, copper-nickel clad, no silver. Collectible qualities and error varieties. While the 1974 D quarter is generally common, certain types of mint errors can increase its value. Below are some error types that might be found on this coin: die cracks and die chips. While smaller cracks or chips don't usually add much value, larger or unique patterns may interest collectors. Double die errors, for any signs of doubling. True double dies can add a premium, though they're rare. Off-center strikes, these errors can be worth anywhere from $100 to $500 or more, especially if the date is still visible. Clipped planchet, and it can increase the coin's value depending on its size and shape. Strike-through errors, these can vary in value, especially if the strike-through is prominent or affects a notable area of the design. Value of 1974 D Washington quarters. Uncirculated/mint state. In uncirculated or high mint state grades, MS63 or higher, a 1974 D quarter can be valued around $10 to $20. In top grades like MS65 or above, it may be worth $50 to $100 or more. Error coins from 1974, such as off-center strikes or significant die cracks, can sell for $1,000 to $3,000 or more depending on the type and visibility of the error. For any high-quality or error-bearing 1974 D quarter, professional grading by services like PCGS or NGC can provide authentication and may enhance its value for collectors. The 1973 P Washington quarter is a widely circulated coin from the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike some years, the 1973 quarter does not have particularly notable error varieties that are widely recognized, and most of these quarters are fairly common in circulated condition. However, there are still factors that can make certain 1973 P quarters more appealing to collectors. 1973 P Washington quarter overview. Mint mark. The P mint mark indicates it was minted in Philadelphia, although Philadelphia quarters did not actually bear a mint mark in 1973. Mintage. The Philadelphia Mint produced around 346 million quarters in 1973, making it a fairly common issue. Composition. The coin is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, no silver. Error varieties and special characteristics. While there are no particularly famous error varieties associated with the 1973 P quarter, general types of minting errors may still appear on some examples from this year. Here are a few error types that could be found: die cracks and die chips. Chips don't add much value. Larger and more noticeable die breaks can attract collectors interested in unusual characteristics. Off-center strikes. Off-center strikes are errors caused by misalignment during the striking process. If a 1973 P quarter has an off-center strike, particularly if it is significant, it may increase the value. Double die errors. While double die errors are more famous on other coins and years, it's always possible to find minor double die errors in any minting year. Strike-through errors. Sometimes, foreign material like grease or metal shavings can get between the die and planchet during striking, causing areas of the design to be weak or missing. Clipped planchet. A clipped planchet error occurs when a portion of the metal blank is missing before the coin is struck. Clipped planchets are rare but can appear on any coin, including the 1973 P quarter. Value of 1973 P Washington quarters, uncirculated/mint state, high grade, uncirculated examples, MS63 and above, are more desirable to collectors. These can be worth around $10 to $20 depending on grade. Error coins from 1973 vary widely in value. Common errors, like minor die cracks, might sell for $500 to $3,000, while major errors, such as an off-center strike, can fetch between $500 and $1,000 or more depending on severity. To determine the exact value, you may want to have a particularly nice or error-bearing 1973 P quarter professionally graded. The 1972 D Washington quarter is interesting to collectors, especially when it features notable minting errors. The Denver Mint produced over 311 million quarters in 1972, so regular quarters from this year are generally common. However, error varieties are sought after for their rarity and unique characteristics. Types of errors found on the 1972 D Washington quarter: die cracks and die chips. Die cracks or chips generally don't add significant value unless they are particularly large or prominent, but they can still be appealing to collectors. Off-center strikes. The value of an off-center error increases with the degree of misalignment, particularly if the date remains visible. Doubled die errors. Look closely at the inscriptions like "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or $quarter for any doubling, as this can add a premium value depending on the prominence. Clipped planchets. The value of these can vary, but larger and more noticeable clips tend to be valued higher. Strike-through errors. These errors can add some value, particularly if the affected area is large or visually interesting. Value of 1972 D error quarters. The value of a 1972 D Washington quarter with an error can range from $500 to $2,000, significantly more, depending on the rarity and visibility of the error. Common errors, like minor die chips, may be valued at $10 to $50. More notable errors, such as major off-center strikes or double dies, could fetch $500 to $2,000 or more if in good condition. For precise valuation, having the coin graded by a professional service, such as PCGS or NGC, can help determine its market value. Collectors often seek high-grade examples of error coins, and a coin's condition is critical to its overall worth. The 1971 Washington quarter without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Since the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on quarters at that time, the absence of a mint mark on a 1971 quarter does not indicate an error. This coin is part of the regular copper-nickel clad series that began in 1965, following the removal of silver from quarters. Background of the 1971 no mint mark Washington quarter. Composition: copper-nickel clad, no silver content. Mintage: over 109 million, making it a high mintage coin. Value of the 1971 no mint mark quarter. Because it's a common, high mintage coin, the 1971 no mint mark quarter is generally worth its face value in circulated condition. Only uncirculated examples in high mint state grades have any significant value. MS-63, MS-64, valued at around $5 to $10. MS-65, prices increase slightly, ranging from $10 to $20. MS-66, can be worth $50 to $100 due to its condition rarity. MS-67 or higher, exceptional grades may fetch $500 or more due to the challenge of finding these coins in pristine condition. Errors and varieties for the 1971 no mint mark quarter. While there are no widely recognized major error varieties for the 1971 quarter, minor errors may occasionally be found. Here are a few types of minor errors that can add value to this coin. Die cracks, small cracks on the coin's surface resulting from wear on the die. Minor die cracks may add around $50 to $200. Off-center strikes. These coins show a misalignment due to incorrect positioning during striking, with values between $100 and $500 depending on the extent. Clipped planchet occurs when part of the coin's edge is missing due to a fault during planchet cutting. These can be valued from $50 to $450. The 1971 D Washington quarter is a copper-nickel clad coin struck at the Denver Mint. While it is common in circulated grades, high-grade examples and certain errors can be valuable. Background: mintmark. The D mintmark indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint. Composition: copper-nickel clad with a core of pure copper and an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, the same composition used since 1965. MS-63 to MS-64, these coins are worth about $5 to $10. MS-65, the value rises to around $10 to $20. MS-66, coins in this condition can be valued at $5 to $100. MS-67 or higher, at this top grade, a 1971 D quarter may be worth $500 or more, but finding coins in this pristine condition is rare. Errors and varieties. While no major double die or other prominent errors are recognized for the 1971 D quarter, there are some minor varieties and errors that collectors may find interesting. Die cracks, common minor errors that occur during the minting process. Values depend on the size and location of the die crack but usually range from $50 to $400. Off-center strikes. Coins that are misaligned can be worth $100 to $500, depending on the degree of off-centering. Clipped planchets. A planchet with a clipped edge can be worth $500 to $1,000, based on the size and location of the clip. Collectability. The 1971 D-quarter is considered common in circulated grades, so it's typically easy and inexpensive to obtain for a collection. However, collectors who focus on Washington quarters often look for high-grade examples to complete date and mintmark sets, which can be challenging to find for this date. Coins with unusual toning, strong strikes, and excellent luster also attract collectors more. The 1970 D Washington quarter is an interesting coin for collectors, particularly for its place in the transition period of U.S. coinage following the elimination of silver from quarters in 1965. While the 1970 D quarter is generally considered common, some errors and high-grade examples can carry notable value. Background, mintmark. The D mintmark indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Composition, made of a copper-nickel clad, consisting of an inner core of pure copper and an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This composition has been standard for quarters since the shift away from silver in 1965. Mint state, MS, 1970 D quarters can be more valuable, especially in high grades, MS 65 and above. In grades MS 63 to MS 64, the 1970 D quarter may be worth around $5 to $10. In grades MS 65 to MS 66, the value rises to $20 to $50. MS 67 and above can bring values of $350 or more, but finding a 1970 D quarter in such pristine condition is rare. Error varieties and special features. While there are no major recognized errors for the 1970 D quarter, collectors sometimes find coins with minor errors such as die cracks, off-centering, or double dies. Minor errors can increase the coin's value, often adding $20 to $100 depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. Double die. There is no widely recognized double die for the 1970 D quarter, but any instance of doubling on this coin, if confirmed by a professional grading service, could significantly increase its value. Collectability. The 1970 D quarter is common and widely accessible, making it a low-cost addition for those collecting by date and mintmark. However, finding well-preserved examples in high mint state grades can be challenging, especially due to the coin's age and the materials used, which are prone to scratches and blemishes. Collectors may seek out high-grade specimens for registry sets or to fill gaps in Washington quarter collections.